The hallway smells of floor wax and adolescent anxiety. You stand in the doorway of room 214, holding a cardboard box containing 3 dry erase markers, a stapler you bought with your own money, and a degree that says you are qualified to explain the French Revolution to 32 teenagers who would rather be anywhere else. The school year has not started yet, but the orientation packet has already arrived. It is 48 pages of acronyms and guidelines for standardized testing procedures. You chose this path because you wanted a career that mattered. You wanted to build minds, to inspire curiosity, and perhaps to enjoy the legendary luxury of a 3-month summer break. The university brochures spoke of a noble calling and a stable profession with reliable public benefits. The local school board website spoke of a dedicated community of educators. Nobody spoke about the cost of printer paper. The first contract sits on the faux wood desk under the fluorescent lights. The ink is dry. The salary figure is printed in a small, unadorned font near the bottom of page 3. It is a number that looks reasonable on a spreadsheet until you divide it by the actual hours you are about to work. The number, $44,000. Year 1, starting salary. The contract is for exactly 185 days. That sounds like a part-time schedule to your friends who went into corporate consulting. They do not see the 5 hours of prep work required for every single hour of classroom instruction. They do not see the grading rubrics that must be aligned with state standards. They do not see the administrative database that requires you to log every phone call to a parent who has blocked the school's number. You sign the paper. You tell yourself that the starting salary is just a temporary baseline. Every professional has to pay their dues. The district's salary schedule is a ladder, and you are on the very first rung. The climb starts on Monday morning at precisely 7:15. The classroom is quiet for now. The desks are arranged in neat rows, waiting for the first bell. You hang a poster of a motivational quote on the bulletin board. The poster costs $9. The bulletin board has a crack in the corkboard frame that you cover with tape. This is your workspace. This is where the magic is supposed to happen. The school secretary drops a master schedule on your desk. You have 5 different class periods, 3 separate lesson preparations, and a duty assignment to supervise the cafeteria during 3rd period. The cafeteria duty is described as a great opportunity to build relationships with the student body. The veteran teacher next door laughs when you tell her this. Her laugh is short and dry, like a cough. The first bell rings. The door opens. 32 teenagers enter, carrying heavy backpacks and a profound indifference to the causes of the tennis court oath. One of them is already asleep. Another asks if this class is going to be on the final exam. You open your lesson plan. You take a deep breath. You begin. It is 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. The school building closed 4 hours ago, but your dining room table is buried under a landslide of poorly punctuated essays on the rise of industrialization. A half-eaten sandwich sits next to your red grading pen. The red ink is running low. You have 3 more essays to read before you can sleep, and the alarm is set for 5:30. This is year 5 of the journey. You are no longer the enthusiastic novice who spent weekends color-coding lesson plans. You are a functional professional who has learned to drink lukewarm coffee while walking down the hallway at a brisk pace. The salary schedule has rewarded your survival with small, incremental steps. The number, $52,000. Year 5, early career. The raise is $8,000 over 5 years. That is roughly $1,600 a year before taxes. When you factor in the rising cost of the employee health plan and the mandatory contribution to the state teacher retirement system, the net increase is barely visible on your biweekly pay stub. It is a slow-motion climb. Your friends from college are buying townhouses and talking about their annual bonuses. You are talking about the school district's policy on personal days. If you take a sick day, you must write a 3-page subplan that is simple enough for a temporary substitute to execute, but complex enough to satisfy the curriculum supervisor who might walk by the classroom. Sometimes it is easier to teach with a fever than it is to stay home. The school budget is tight this year. The department head announces that each teacher is limited to 1 ream of copy paper per month. If you need more worksheets, you must upload them to a digital portal and hope the students have working internet access at home. Half of them do not. You go to the office supply store on Saturday and buy 3 cases of paper with your own credit card. It is a transaction that does not appear on any tax form. Parent-teacher conferences are scheduled for next Tuesday. The sessions run from noon until 8 in the evening. You sit in a folding chair in the gymnasium, waiting for parents who are either too busy to attend or too angry about their child's grade to speak in a normal volume. One father explains that his son is a genius who is simply misunderstood by your grading system. You look at the student's empty homework file. You nod and explain the rubric again. The district administration building has a carpet that has seen better decades. You are sitting outside the Human Resources office, holding an official transcript from an online university. The transcript certifies that you have completed 30 graduate-level credits in educational technology. This piece of paper is the key to the next column on the salary scale. In the teaching profession, years of service are only half the battle. To cross the financial threshold into a livable wage, you must collect credentials. You must move from the bachelor's column to the master's column, and then to the master's plus 30 lane. Each transition requires thousands of dollars in tuition and hundreds of hours of evening classes. The number: $68,000. Year 12, mid-career. You are 12 years in. You have a master's degree and a certificate of advanced study. You are now earning $68,000 a year. The educational debt you accumulated to reach this bracket is $32,000. The math is simple, and it does not favor the educator. You spent money you did not have to earn a raise that is immediately absorbed by the loan payment. The staff lounge is a graveyard of good intentions. The vending machine has been broken since November, and the microwave emits a high-pitched whine whenever it is used. You sit with the other mid-career teachers, eating carrots from a plastic container. The conversation is no longer about pedagogy or student success. It is about the cost of braces for your children and whether the district will offer an early retirement incentive in the next contract. The turnover rate is starting to show. The young, energetic teachers who joined the staff 5 years ago are leaving for jobs in corporate training or insurance adjustment. They discover that their ability to manage 30 chaotic teenagers translates well to managing 20 uncooperative adults, and the corporate world pays 50% more for the privilege. You watch them clean out their desks. You wish them well. You feel a quiet, heavy envy that you do not mention to anyone. You are the department chair now. This title comes with a $300 annual stipend and the responsibility of coordinating the curriculum for 6 other teachers. It also means you are the person who has to explain to the principal why the standardized test scores in U.S. history did not meet the state's growth targets. The principal is under pressure from the superintendent. The superintendent is under pressure from the state board. Everyone is looking for someone to blame, and you are the closest target. You stand at the dry erase board, explaining the checks and balances of the federal government. A student in the 3rd row asks why they need to learn this if they can just look it up on their phone. You pause. It is a fair question. You do not give the standard speech about citizenship and historical context. Instead, you tell them that understanding how the rules work is the only way to keep other people from using the rules against you. The student looks at you for a long second, then writes it down. It is the only win of the week. The salary schedule is a finite map. You have reached the very last row of the grid. There are no more steps to climb, no more lanes to cross. You are 25 years into your career, and your salary has officially plateaued. Unless the union negotiates a cost of living adjustment in the next 3-year contract, this is the most money you will ever make as a classroom teacher. The ceiling is real, and it is low. You look at the figure printed on the master guide. It is a number that represents a lifetime of lesson plans, parent conferences, and hall monitoring. It is a salary that allows you to pay your mortgage and buy groceries without panic, but it is not a salary that builds wealth. The number: $89,000. Year 25. The ceiling. To go any higher, you must leave the classroom. The district offers an alternate path: school administration. If you go back to school for an administrative certificate, you can apply for an assistant principal position. The starting pay is over $100,000, but the price is high. You would trade your summer break for a 12-month contract. You would trade your classroom, where you actually teach history, for an office where you spend 8 hours a day dealing with suspensions, dress code violations, and parking lot disputes. You would become the enforcer of rules you did not write. You visit the assistant principal in his office. He is 38 years old, has dark circles under his eyes, and is currently writing a report on a stolen bicycle. A parent is yelling in the outer office about a locker assignment. He looks at you with the expression of a man who has forgotten what a weekend feels like. He asks if you are interested in the administrative track. You look at the pile of discipline referrals on his desk. You tell him you are still thinking about it. The classroom is your domain. After 25 years, you are good at this. You can quiet a room of 32 freshmen with a single, silent look. You know how to reach the student who is struggling and how to challenge the student who is bored. This expertise is valuable, but the market does not price it like expertise. In any other field, 25 years of highly specialized experience would command a premium. In a public school district, it commands the exact same salary as the teacher next door, who does the bare minimum but has the same seniority. You walk through the parking lot after the final bell. The student cars are parked in neat rows. Some of them are newer than yours. You start the engine of your 10-year-old sedan. The belt squeals for a moment before settling into a steady hum. You drive home, listening to the radio, wondering what your life would look like if you had used your skills to sell software instead of teaching citizens. You sit on the porch on a warm afternoon in late June. The school year ended yesterday, and the silence is thick and unfamiliar. For the first time in 10 months, nobody is asking you for hall passes or grading extensions. The silence should feel like freedom, but instead, it feels like a temporary pause before the wheel starts turning again. You have spent a quarter of a century in the public school system. You have taught over 3,000 students. You have read thousands of essays, survived dozens of curriculum initiatives, and watched 5 different superintendents promise to revolutionize the district before leaving for higher-paying roles in other states. You have done the math. You have run the numbers on your pension, your savings, and your lifetime earnings. The system has kept its promise. You have a reliable job, a modest pension waiting for you at age 62, and a health insurance plan that covers the essentials. But the question is not whether the job is stable. The question is whether it will make you rich. The number: $61,200. Lifetime average salary. The average teacher salary in America, adjusted over a 30-year career, is just over $60,000. When you account for inflation, educational debt, and the out-of-pocket costs of classroom survival, the net wealth accumulation is minimal. You did not get rich. You survived. You achieved a stable, respectable middle-class existence that required a level of emotional labor and personal sacrifice that no corporate job would dare to demand for that price. Other professionals measure their success in equity, bonuses, and options. You measure yours in the occasional email from a student who graduated 10 years ago, telling you that your class was the reason they decided to study law or write a book. These emails do not pay the mortgage, but they are the only currency the system cannot inflate away. If you choose this career, you must accept the terms of the bargain. You will work in a system that is constantly underfunded and perpetually criticized. You will be asked to solve society's problems on a budget that does not cover dry erase markers. You will earn a salary that peaks where many corporate careers begin. You look at the empty classroom schedule on your tablet. The next school year starts in 72 days. The district has already updated the curriculum requirements for the fall. There is a new online portal to learn and a new set of state standards to integrate. The job is not a path to wealth. It is a quiet, daily commitment to a world that does not always appreciate the effort. You close the tablet. You pick up a book on the American Civil War. You start planning the first lesson for September. You do this because you are a teacher, and the bell is going to ring anyway.